And we are back for the best time of the year. We got the official Vegas Summer League starting on Friday, and salaries just got released. So you better believe I saw that and immediately got ready to make this video because I cannot wait to grind it. It's about a 2-week Vegas Summer League. And yeah, I'll just say grass will not be touched. But yeah, this is your first time watching, guys. My name is DK. I cover content for NFL, NBA, DFS, Prize Picks, Underdog, Parlay Play. Parlay Play, they're the sponsor of today's video. Also, one thing to know, which I just found out today, Parlay Play is offering Summer League props. Very, very good to know. But if you guys want to try it out, use the code DKDFS for a $100 deposit match bonus. Also, link will be down below. Yeah, basically how it works is you're building out slips of player props, and again, they do offer Summer League stuff. So I'll definitely be playing some over here on Parlay Play, and would highly recommend you guys do as well. If you do, click the link and deposit or use the code. It does help support the channel, so greatly appreciate that. And yeah, let's get into the video. So before we get into the breakdowns, quickly just kind of take a look at years past for the Summer League. Again, we have dominated it, and we're ready to do it again. So let's go through a couple screenshots here. This one I think was probably the coolest one ever. I didn't end up cashing this day, but this was literally, we had the entire top of the leaderboard, all members. Another one, you know, covered with Patreon members. $3,000 takedown, like so many takedowns last year. Love to see it. Few more. I won a tournament last year with an injury. First GBP in 5 years, or first win in 5 years. I'd love to see stuff like that. Obviously BP shredding as usual. Again, that was my win last year. So yeah, it's going to be a great Summer League. If you guys are interested, the link will be down below over on the Patreon. But basically what you get is roster construction videos for each of the main and early slates, and then you get posts for the late slates, kind of breaking it down. Player poll for the main slate, live stream every single day for the main slate, and then most importantly, honestly, our starting lineups will be posted because it's extremely hard to find information in the Summer League, and we'll be posting everything over there because there's a lot of the times where in Summer League you're just trying to avoid taking a zero, right? Because you want to avoid you know, playing someone who doesn't end up playing, right? So all of that will be over on Patreon, Discord access as well. You can ask me questions 24/7. So yeah, let's get it. So we'll start off here with Houston and the Lakers. So starting at the top, Houston, you got Cam Whitmore, 9.5K. Pretty similar to like what Cam Thomas was in the Summer League for what, that 2 to 3 year stretch, right? What Cam Whitmore is going to be is he's going to come out and he's going to chuck. And that's what he did last Summer League, right? You know, 21 shots, 17 shot attempts. He's going to shoot when he's out there. Probably Houston also usually runs a pretty tight rotation in the Summer League, so would expect low 30s minutes of Cam Whitmore. I think he probably has one of the highest ceilings on the slate. Reed Shepherd at 8.6K. Obviously will be getting a lot of run as well. I think he's a fine contrarian pivot to Whitmore, but a similar price point, I think I do prefer Whitmore. And then kind of talking through the rest of the lineup. So I think, you know, Whitmore, Shepherd, and Orlando Robinson, probably guaranteed starters. Robinson really stands out point per dollar. I'm sure you guys are probably familiar. He was on Miami Heat, kind of the end of the bench in the regular season. He also played for Miami Heat in the Summer League, had a really solid Summer League. I think 6.3K is just way too cheap for Orlando Robinson. So he really stands out. And then the rest, again, will kind of come down to the starting lineup. But you have like AJ Griffin, Kira Lewis, Trevor Keels, all guys we've seen over the last few years in the Summer League. Lewis has bounced around kind of the Pelicans. I think if he starts, he'd be a solid play. AJ Griffin was on the Hawks last year. I think he got banged up. That's why he didn't play a ton. And they got Trevor Keels, who you know, chucked for the Knicks in the Summer League in years past. So those are all guys that are viable as well. Keep an eye on, again, the starting lineup. Samuels is a guy that played a ton for the Rockets in the Summer League last year. We'll see, maybe an outside chance he could start. But again, I think for sure starters would probably be Whitmore, Shepherd, and Orlando Robinson. Talking to the Lakers, so we have seen the Lakers in a couple of the pre-Summer League games. So we kind of know how this offense is going to be run. Dalton Knecht is at the top at 8.4K. Has struggled with the shot a little bit over the first couple games, but still a guy that's going to be one of the highest usage players on this team. Solid option, but I think Colin Castleton's the guy that stands out the most. He had a really good summer league last year. Good point per minute. Good rebounder. Obviously it can get some assists as well. And they have listed a small forward when he's playing the center position. So I think Castleton really stands out as a good point per dollar play. Bronny James, 6K, I think is a bit tough to get to. Kind of struggled in his first game. We'll see what he does tonight. I think he's going to be back tonight. I'm going to try to watch it. But I think more of just kind of contrarian play. And then Maxwell Lewis will also most likely be in the starting lineup. He's a guy that, can put the ball in the bucket, but not going to do a ton of the peripheral stats. And then it'll kind of come down to, I don't know who the fifth starter will be. It's bounced around a couple different guys for the first few games. Keep an eye on that. But I think Castleton's the standout there. Like, they started East the first game, but he came off the bench the second game. So you could have some value here with that fifth starter there for the Lakers. But pretty sure 4 starters would be Knecht, Castleton, James, and Maxwell Lewis. All right, Brooklyn and Indiana. So Brooklyn has a pretty solid summer league team, in my opinion. A lot of talent. You got Clowney, Wilson, Whitehead at the top to kind of lead the way. Clowney and Wilson obviously were on the and Whitehead were on the Nets regular season roster. Clowney didn't get a ton of run in the summer league last year, and I believe, if I remember correctly, Cam Thomas played for the Nets in summer league last year. So obviously he dominated the usage, and he won't be there this year. Jalen Wilson had a couple huge games down the stretch in the summer league. I think he looks really good at 7.8K. Whitehead 7.5 playable as well, but I think I would rather get to Wilson or Clowney for a little bit more. And then, you have Keon Johnson. We know he can chuck. He was in the Blazers. So he's a guy that can put the ball in the bucket. I think if he gets a start, he would look pretty good. Gilliard was on the Grizzlies last year. He's not like doesn't have a massive ceiling, but a guy with a pretty high floor because he's, going to get those peripheral stats. What else? Jalen Martin was on the Knicks last year, I believe, in the summer league. Another guy that can put the ball in the bucket. I think he's reasonable if he gets a start. Tyrese Martin, another guy that got some run for the Hawks last year, decent point per minute, 4.5K. He could be a decent value if he starts. Zylan Sheatham, pretty old because he was in the summer league. I believe he's in the summer league roster when Zion came up. I think it was like him, Zion, my boy NAW, I want to say, Jackson Hayes. I believe that was like the summer league team. He played overseas, but he's back. He's good point per minute. He's like a hustle guy. I would say kind of like a Draymond Green-esque. So he could be another decent value if he gets a start. But I think for sure starters would probably be Clowney, Wilson, Whitehead, and then we'll keep an eye on those other two. We're talking to the Pacers. The Pacers, another team that have a pretty decent summer league roster. You got Jarris Walker at the top. Good point per minute guy, can stuff the stat sheet. Expect him to play big minutes here. Definitely like him at the top. Ben Shepherd, 8.5K, I think is reasonable. Obviously, he is someone that got a lot of run for the Pacers on the regular team, but still not like a super high usage player ever. So I think I'd rather get to Walker for a little bit more. Oscar Tshiebwe, I believe that's how I pronounce his name, came off the bench in the summer league last year. We'll see if he gets a start because he actually is a good point per minute player. He's a center, even though I'm listed as small forward, power forward. So if he gets a start, I think he'd be solid. And then you have a lot of rookies here. You got Newton at 6.6. You have Freeman at 6.4. You have Furphy, I believe that's pronounced the name, at 5K. Again, some of these rookies I might botch their names for a bit. Those are all guys that are rookies that are going to get decent run for sure. So keep an eye on the starting lineup because I assume probably 1 or 2 of those guys will end up getting a start alongside Walker, Shepherd, and then probably Tshiebwe as well. So yeah, it's kind of the Pacers. Talk about Atlanta. So Atlanta, number 1 overall pick, and again, I gotta work on these pronunciations, but at 9.1, I think there's probably better options at the very top. Like, I don't know, I would probably rather get to like Whitmore, Walker. Those are 2 guys right around that range. I think I'd rather get to, but yeah, can still obviously play. I gotta work on pronunciations. I should have done this before the video, to be honest. But he's more of a 3-and-D guy, Frenchman. Yeah, still obviously in play there. Kobe Buffkin, I expect to get a lot of run. Second-year guy, point guard out of Michigan, a guy that can kind of stuff the statues on the end of the bench for Atlanta this year. So 8.3K, I think he's a reasonable contrarian play. Guy at 7-1 probably gets to start as well. You got Dylan Windler, a guy that can put the ball in the bucket. We'll see if he ends up getting a start. The other rookie, Nikola, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. Probably will get decent run as well. And then you have some guys that have been in the summer league for a bit. EJ Liddell is good point per minute. Like, if he gets a start, I think he'd be solid value. So we'll keep an eye on the starting lineup, obviously, for Atlanta. And again, all that stuff will be posted over on Patreon. For Washington has a if you look at like their summer league roster, they're pretty loaded. A lot of guys that played on the regular team, and then some of these rookies. So you got Sarr, the second overall pick. Obviously, don't mind him at the top. I think that the rookies are a little riskier than the second-year guys for the summer league, second-year, third-year guys, but not saying you can't play Sarr. Koulibaly, I think, stands out. It's also nice that he's only a shooting guard as well. With starting games for the Wizards last year, he's a guy who can stuff a stat sheet. I think he's going to take a pretty big leap forward this year, especially with Washington trading away Denny. So I think Koulibaly looks pretty good. The other two rookies, you got Carrington and you got George. Not as excited about them just because some of these second or third year guys are really cheap for Washington. So again, starting lineup's going to be big, but like Vukcevic, good point per minute. He was averaging low 20s minutes, about a fantasy point per minute. You got Johnny Davis. I think this is his third year now. He's going to chuck when he's out there. He's only 4.8K. Jared Butler, really good point per minute. Again, was even starting games for Washington at the end of the year. He's a guy who can stuff a stat sheet. He looks great for value. Patrick Baldwin, I think, is a solid value play as well. Omar Yori, good point per minute. So like Washington has a lot of these cheap guys that I think look pretty good here. It'll be very interesting to see what they do with the starting lineups. They have a lot of talent on this team. And then finally, Denver and the Clippers. So Denver, you got their first overall pick, Holmes, really good point per minute. I was looking up his college stats. I think he was averaging like 20 and 10. So expect him to be, definitely active for Denver. So I think he's a decent play there at the top. Second-year guards and Strother and Pickett, I think, are pretty solid. 7.9K for Strother, 7K for Pickett. I would say Strother probably has the higher ceiling when he's really getting it going. Pickett probably will play some of the point guard position, maybe a bit of a higher floor. And then you got Hunter Tyson, I think really stands out at 5.5K. Would assume he probably plays somewhere in the neighborhood of around 30 minutes. Decent rebounder, good scorer, and just seems too cheap for his role. So those are the four I think for sure will start for Denver. And again, I think Tyson probably looks the best point per dollar. And then I'll kind of keep an eye on who else starts for Denver, right? You do have some younger guys here, so we could have some value for Denver depending on exactly where they go. But those top four, I'm pretty confident will start for Denver. And then finally, you got the Clippers. So at the top, you got Kobe Brown at 8.1K, another good point per minute player. I think he did. I remember this. I was so tilted about it. I had a really good lineup. He got injured in that last game there against the Lakers. I was so tilted. But, I mean, he had a 60 bomb in the Summer League against Philly in 33 minutes. So, obviously, the ceiling is very high in Kobe Brown. Reasonable price point, 8.1K. I think he looks pretty good. Miller at 7.2. It feels a little pricey for me. He was starting and playing mid-high 20s minutes for the Clippers, but I think there's better options. Christie at 6.8, I think is viable as well. They're rookie. Average, 11, 3, and 2 in college. Not insane numbers. But the guy that does stand out for me is Moussa Diabate. Only 5.8K. Great shot blocker. I believe this is now his, third year in the league. So expect him to start and play good minutes. I think he is very underpriced. I really like Diabate. You got Bailey from the Hornets. Didn't get a ton of runs in the Summer League last year, but he's a guy that can put the ball in the bucket. I think he'll probably start. Hudgens got a lot of run for Houston last year. Again, Houston ran a very tight rotation in the Summer League, but not confident he starts. If he does, think he'd be a decent play, but I don't think we expect that type of run. Again, Houston ran like a 7-man rotation kind of at the end there of the Summer League. But yeah, it's probably, you got a veteran in Terry Taylor. I don't think he starts, but he's not a bad point per minute player. Kind of an undersized big, but yeah, I think Diabate probably the standout there for me. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for the main slate video. I'll have another breakdown over on Patreon, kind of really going into the roster construction, probably tomorrow or early Friday. I'll have an early video as well. There's an early slate over on Patreon. I'll break downs for the late slate on Patreon. And then, again, player pool, videos, Discord access, starting lineups, all that good stuff. Super, super important if you are playing Summer League. So again, if you are interested, link is down below. But really appreciate the support as always, guys. Good luck on the first Summer League slate, and we'll see you all in the next video.